Hey you guys, it's your girl Internet, and today I'll be coming at you with a video, and it's called 47 Years of Joe Biden Racist Comments. How racist can one be? How racist can you really be? I don't know. I don't know what to say about Uncle Joe. I don't know what to say about Uncle Joe. He's starting to be the uncle that don't nobody like in the dang on family. He's starting to be that. Well, he been that person, but to most black Americans, he is starting to be the Uncle Joe that don't nobody like in the family. I just say that. But let's be, well, some people are not even going to be more shocked because they're used to him being this way and saying these things. So you can't turn a deaf ear to it. You can't do that, because once you hear it, I mean, you inherit it, because that's our president. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you can see me. And let's get into this video. Joe Biden, you did all that talking. How you were for black people and all like that.
Are you going to apologize like Cory Booker
Apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better. There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
The world is different. There's too much unfinished business for us to just look backwards. We have to look to the future.
I know Joe. We know Joe. But most importantly, Joe knows us.
That's right.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Even call centers.
Even
call centers was rushed overseas in the...
What does that mean? Roaches? You like kids jumping on your lap?
Hundreds of thousands. How many times you get the call? I'd like to talk to you about your credit card.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. They're going to put you all back in chains.
In my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic Party is diverse, and it should be reflected as so in our leadership.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Why does this happen? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this, Chuck, I'm not going to do this because let me just be really clear. Vice President Biden absolutely has a respect level for all people around him, for voters across this country, young people, older voters, voters of color, black people, Latino voters, indigenous, Asian American, Pacific Islander. So I'm not going to even traffic in any hypothetical conversation about if he is sensitive enough.
In my opinion, we don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
I think Joe Biden might be suffering from that same white entitlement and privilege and ego, where he's just that old school white male who feels like, hey, man, they need me, I don't need them, or I got them already.
Joe Biden is under fire this evening on comments he made about working alongside segregationist senators in the past.
Biden recalling his early Senate career, bringing up two segregationist senators, Herman Talmadge and James Eastland, who called African Americans an inferior race. I was in a caucus with James James O. Eastland, Biden said, he never called me boy, he always called me son. At least there was some civility. We got things done. We didn't agree on much of anything. We got things done.
I think the two-party system, although my Democratic colleagues don't like me saying this, I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black in the South. Other than the fact that they still call me boy, I think they've changed their mind a little bit.
It's that
Good for the Negro.
that old school white male.
Yeah, I kind of see where Charlamagne going with that. I kind of see that.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
30 seconds or less. What kind of a chance would a northeastern liberal like Joe Biden stand?
What he say? Just because they booed him, they were like, I'm put y'all back in chains. Well, hell, you about indeed that now. Almost.
In the South, if you were running in Democratic primaries against Southerners like Mark Warner and John Edwards.
Better than anybody else. And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
It's that old school white male.
Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Not the first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
My son is Attorney General a year in Iraq, came back, and that's one of the things that he finds was most in need. When he was over there in Iraq for a year, people would come to him and talk about what was happening at home in terms of foreclosures, in terms of bad loans that were these Shylocks who took advantage of these women and men.
Back from Mumbai to go meet with President Xi in China. I stopped in Singapore to meet with a guy named Lee Kuan Yew, who most foreign policy experts around the world say is the wisest man in the Orient.
There's not a racist bone in my body.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
You might want to read this again. Like I said, you got to learn your people. Look at all their history, because sometimes people don't change. They still gonna, especially like my thing that my mom and grandma always taught me, that racism is taught. And then plus, Joe Biden come from a time where, you know, it was a lot of racism going on. Like, they call black people everything except for a child of God. You know, so, you know, I mean, what to expect? What do you expect? I mean, because, like, me personally, I don't, people are people. And nothing surprised me with people. That just me. But you guys, just tell me what y'all thought about it, and we'll talk in the comments, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye, you guys.